Alright. Since I messed up my recording, now we can actually start. Let's see. I mean, audio should be on. Let's load this. There you go. That's kind of loud for me. It shouldn't be too bad on the recording. So we broke our Navitor. Let's see what we do about that. It's gonna be a little bit creepy. Like, the lights are moving here. Ver. I hope that the guard I bribed will deliver this and future messages to you. In these long days in captivity, I take my mind off my uncertain fate by mentally redesigning my favorite inventions. I have discovered several flaws in the Navitor which may impede your progress. By now, I expect you know that the energy I have harnessed from the 4 elements may wax and wane according to the 4 seasons. The Navitor may need to be repaired. The 4 tables at the center of the workshop are labeled by the season. Each has a box containing a crucial missing part from a machine in the workshop designed to demonstrate my work. That machine will show you how to reactivate the Navitor. Use the spring code 59 Cornelius. Right, so we need to go for spring. This is autumn. Spring, let's see. 59. This should be it, right? I'm a little bit confused. Oh well. Eventually it worked. I mean, this looks so obvious that there's a hole and there's like this little pin. And it's like... It's not even a flaw, it's a design flaw. It's purposely flawed. So this opens, we pull here. Actually, I've never done that as a kid, but hey. Somebody showed me how to do that, so... we can enter here on the spring. That's weird. I don't know why it would not go all the way. This is summer? Or winter? This is also summer or winter. Who knows? Let's go up here. All the way, please. It's kind of weird how that is supposed to make sense of the game. So spring wind is supposed to actually activate the Navitor, right? Easy game. We've already read that. It's gonna really be hard to keep track of what we've read. I don't know if I've read that. Basilica Aemilia. I inspected the north facade. There are cracks and chips that must be repaired. I think I've read that. The Arch of Severus. I think I've already read that too. So let's try and figure out our ways. I have some stuff to do. Let's slow this crap down again. I can always make it like go faster off camera, of course. Not like that's gonna happen, but who knows? I just want to get to a specific point in the game, but I don't know how to get there. But I've already gotten there because I'm smart. Actually, the place where you use the key. So Gordian, he does have something to say here. The secret of Roman numerals. I must admit that the Roman system of numbers is difficult, especially when one has to add, subtract and manipulate large numbers as we do in engineering. I find I always have to train my apprentices in the fine points of arithmetic and certain shortcuts of Roman numerals. We combine 7 basic symbols to create all our numbers. These symbols are I 1, V 5, X 10, L 50, C 100, D 500, and M 1000. Notice that we have no symbol for 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, or 9. All the other numbers are created with various combinations of these basic letters. So it's probably our first clue, but measures. I mean, I know how Roman numbers work. I also know the solution here. Although I don't know why it's gonna be 23. But we're just gonna fill that in. Get it over with. And then maybe later. Maybe later we'll actually figure out exactly why this is 23. Like, I wish I knew. What's this? So we're pulling levers? Hopefully that's correct. It's not. It's a bit weird. Let's just leave it like that. I have no idea. I don't know how this puzzle works, or why it works like that. I mean, these boxes are labeled sinister, which is the same. Like, I don't know, maybe I should leave and come back. Let's not touch that then. I mean, these are the same. This one's different. Right, I don't know. Maybe that's what I was supposed to do. There's like a secret bottom here. Dot the dots. Eventually I figured it out. Although I don't know what I did, but... The aqueducts. Bringing in the water supply. The water could be poisoned. Or those old dry wooden buildings. A fire would turn them into ashes in a moment. The Romans are vulnerable in their pride. Their cherished symbols, the standards, the palladium, the sacred flame, could be tampered with so easily. The economy of the empire is unstable. To steal the stock of gold kept in the Ararium, and why not? The military and the civil servants are so corrupt. They should be bribed to bring about their own end. ... I don't know what that means. A friend on the city watch. Marcus tells me there is a new friendship between the prefect and the fire brigade and Senator Torianus. Former enemies reclining side by side at a banquet. I wonder what's going on. And rumors are flying about various plots in the palace. I think Severus or his son may be cooking up a crackdown against his enemies or against each other. Maybe this so-called crisis would bring me a case. I'll look into it. Well, that sure is sinister. I wish I knew why it was 23. Well, maybe we'll figure it out. The Basilica Julia. The Basilica Julia is located between the Temple of Castor and Pollux and the Temple of Saturn, begun in the last year of the Republic by Julius Caesar. It was completed in the early days of the Empire by Augustus, but it was called Julia in honor to honor the great Roman who began the project. I don't know. The Basilica Julia. The dictator Julius Caesar began constructing what has become the most popular meeting place in Rome. It stands directly across from the earlier Basilica Aemilia. Augustus, Caesar's successor, completed the basilica that bears the sign of his fine taste in marble, colonnades, and finely tiled floors. Aside from serving as a meeting place, there is also the laws of the empire. Here is also where the laws of the empire are tested and enforced. Large, heavy curtains separate each tribunal from the great enclosed space. There is even a tribunal in the upper gallery. Let's see. I don't think there's much to see here. Don't quite remember this place. Is this where we came from? No, it's not. Also nothing lighting up here, which is fine. It's kind of a weird walkway as well. You're not even allowed to check this entrance door or whatever. You always skip past it. Oh, I don't remember being here as well. I'm actually lost as to what to do currently. The four elements. According to the Greek philosophers, all things are composed of four elements. Empedocles said that earth, air, fire, and water were joined or separated by harmony and discord. Aristotle suggests that a single basic material assumed various forms. Its properties were hotness, coldness, dryness, and moistness. Fire is hot and dry. Earth is cold and dry. water, cold and moist, and air, hot and moist. I believe Cornelius has his own theory. We once discussed the properties of a variety of woods, oak, pine, and so on. He gave me a wonderful chart measuring the 4 elements in each species of wood, which I still use to train my assistants. Yeah, inscriptions and graffiti. Well, we know about that. We just don't know what it means. I don't remember this place either. So we're like in January at the moment. Some interesting stuff, for sure. Secret of Roman numerals. I mean, here's a whole list of... well... not right there, but somewhere. There was a whole list of Roman numerals, but that doesn't really mean much, or... it's nothing to do with the game itself. So where should we go? The navel of Rome. At the edge of the rostra is the Ubilicius Urbis, a cylindrical brick construction with a width of about 12 Roman feet, topped with a cone of green marble. The engineer knows that the cone is one of the most stable three-dimensional shapes. It is very difficult to turn over. This famous cone marks the center of Rome. It is the key to the city. Some say that when it topples, so will Rome. Well, it won't topple on my watch. I mean, who knows? Secret of Roman numerals. The new calendar. The pontiffs were in charge of taking care that the lunar and solar years matched, but for many generations they neglected to watch the calendar as they should have done. So Julius Caesar had to reform it on the advice of the Alexandrian sages. Marcius, Maius, Quintillus, and October grew to 31 days. The other months had 29 and February 28. Every 4 years the Roman add an extra day to February's between the 22nd and 23rd. After Caesar's death, the month Quintillus was renamed Iulius to honor him, and when the first emperor passed away, they changed Sextilis to Augustus. It's kind of weird though. So one, two, three, four. 4 of the months have 31 days. All of the other months have 29, which is still too little. Then February has 28 as well, which would make you really short on the year, which would be awful. I don't understand. Then maybe that's a typo. I have no idea. It would not make much sense that they would make mistakes about that in this game. Also, I don't really know where to go. So we'll just read about some stories. The contrast in punishment. The punishment for similar crimes can be as minor as paying a fine or as great as actual or death. What makes a difference is social standing. The powerful and wealthy belong to the honor. The S.P.Q.R, and even in the case of a capital crime of treason, are entitled to respectable treatment, such as beheading, or may be even allowed to take their own life by opening veins. So that's a respectable treatment, right? In contrast, the poor and low-born, known as humiliores, are routinely subject to summary justice and execution. We Romans are a cruel lot and enjoy the spectacle of any wretch crucified, burning alive, or thrown to wild beasts. Right. Politics even. That's what they call that. Can I even click here? I can't. This seems bugged. Another door that's just invisible. I need to look up the long play again. I need to know what to do. I don't think there's too much to do, but I do want to have some goals that maybe if I get somewhere today, maybe we'll speed up this Navitor and then we'll have something to do next time instead of just running around and reading stories, which is 99% of the game. But anyway, there are some cute things. So let me refresh my memory of what's going on here. So yeah, I don't think there's much going on here. I think we need to wait until March, until something happens again. Which is quite a long time. I don't know why. The smell of dusty plants. I began my work at the tabularium, with only bad intentions, but I have grown accustomed to trudging up those steps every morning. I have also grown accustomed to the chief engineer, Gordian. He has his faults, and he represents the worst part of Rome. But he also represents the best, the buildings. So what's the worst part of Rome then, if the buildings are the best? His work is everything to him, and I admire his dedication to the preservation of the Forum. I must remember that the information in the Cabularium is crucial to my plot. The Tullian Geo. The original Geo was a single dank cell carved from solid rock on the east slope of the Capitoline Hill. The second cell was added on top of the first, connected only by a hole in the floor. The most feared punishment in Rome is to be dropped through this hole into the stinking void beneath. The name comes from the little spring, Tullus, that flows in the lower cell. Due to this moisture, the tufa walls are cold and damp. Outside are the scalae gemonaea, or something like that, where the bodies of those who have been executed are exposed before being thrown into the Tiber. The stone quarries of the arcs are perhaps more agreeable place of confinement. ... Also, I just noticed I can click to the right. I'm kind of scared that I can read more about this. The Temple of Castor and Pollux. The Temple of Castor and Pollux appears to be built on a high, solid podium. In fact, there are small offices hollowed out of the base on 3 sides of the podium. In one of these spaces, the official weights and measures of Rome are kept. These must be kept secure from tampering or other damage. Our economy depends on their accuracy. The Temple of defied Julius Caesar. When Julius Caesar was assassinated, his followers carried his body to the Forum, where Antony delivered a passionate tribute. The large crowd was moved. They piled up chairs and benched from the tribunal of the Praetor to make a funeral pyre. A few years later, the temple was built on this very spot with an unusual round altar in front. So this is all things about the Forum, which is a lot of different buildings. Temple of Antonius and Faustina. When the Emperor Augustinus Pius lost his wife in the 3rd year of his reign, the Senate made her a god and began construction of this temple. The 6 unfluted marble columns are... let's see, this is... I would say 55 feet high. As always, the number of steps is odd. Also, it's 55 feet, Roman feet. It's probably different than the USA standard. Number of steps is odd. The worshipper begins and ends his ascent on the right foot. Rumor has it that Nero's original water organ is stored here. The Temple of Vespasian. The facade of this elegant temple, dedicated to deified Vespasian and the deified Titus, has 6 Corinthian columns in white marble. The temple was erected by Vespasian's sons, Titan and Domitian, a year after the emperor's death, and it honors the man who began construction of the great Flavian amphitheater, which was also completed by his son Titus. This is more about the same temple, right? This temple fell into disrepair, but was restored by Severus due to the narrowness of the space between the tabularium and the Clevius Capitolinus. The upper steps are cut into the foundations of the front columns. In the narrow space between this temple and the temple of Concord is a small rectangular marble and brick building with its back to the tabularium. It is best avoided. It is related to the tax and finance departments. The basilica... Oh, we have read that already, right? Mosaic floors. The art of mosaic involves the careful arrangement and laying down of thousands of little pieces of colored stone, glass, tile, and marble, mosaic can be applied to walls as well as floors. My favorite examples are not the huge colorful floor mosaic of human figures and animals, but the simple geometrical patterns in black and white, such as I will install in my new construction project, my bathroom or kitchen. Nice black and white tiles, easy peasy. The Senate House or Curia Julia was constructed by Caesar and consists of a large assembly room, a courtyard, and a smaller room for secret sessions. The Secretarium Senatus Augustus completed the building and chose as pattern the goddess Victoria, whose altar with a golden statue was placed in the main room. The lower facade of the Senate House is covered in marble, while the upper portion is stucco in imitation of marble blocks. Higher still, there are beams of travertine projecting out from the gable, but only the trained eye can tell that the rich Corinthian upper cornice is actually built in stucco. I prefer the original design without the porch. The Temple of Vesta. This Vesta is a... Have I read that? Maybe not. This temple has a distinctive circular form with 20 white marble columns of the Corinthian order. I'm just thinking now if the L was actually 50 or if it's 100, but I'm pretty sure C is 100 because it's the Centurio is like the 100 man, the commander of 100. I mean L Legionnaire, I don't know, might not even have to do with each other, but it probably does. But I think L is 50. Then X is 20. Well, X is 10, double 10 is 20. For sure, easy peasy. Normally, you will notice smoke rising through the opening in the temple roof, signaling that the sacred flame continues to burn within, and that all is well with Rome. I pity the careless Vestal Virgin who let the flame die on her watch. Yeah, poor virgins. Of course, the Temple of Vesta is part of the compound of the Vestal Virgins, and access is restricted, especially to men. However, there are structural emergencies when the Virgin must call the forum engineer. Each column supports a huge wedge of marble, which comprises the cornice, the covers of the portico, and the frieze inside the temple. A crack had developed in one of these, and iron rods were installed as bracing. I fear it may yet collapse. So like some women here, some virgins are inspecting the structural integrity of the Temple of Vesta. Is interesting. The Ionic frieze of the Temple of Vesta. I was charged with the repair of a section of the Ionic frieze of the Temple of Vesta, which suffered during the fire in the time of Commodus. The carvings are of the sacramental instrument. Men are never allowed to enter the temple, and other than Vestal Virgins, women are only permitted during the festival of the Festalia. However, repair work must go on, and exceptions must be made. And then he took a quick picture here with his, his marking pen. The arch. The arch is the basis for the wonders of Roman engineering. The wedge-shaped blocks are placed over the semicircular formwork until the keystone is in place. When the formwork is removed, the weight of the stones drives the blocks more tightly together. And the keystone is the middle stone, so they build up like the they build a support structure here, which they call the formwork, which is the support structure here. They just fill this up with like some woodwork or something, so they can place all these stones. And the keystone is the one in the middle. And when they place the keystone, that's why it's called the keystone probably, then they can take out all this woodwork, because when the keystone is placed, then the work is finished. And when the keystone is placed, then it gives all the strength to the construction. Without the keystone, this construction will just collapse when you remove the formwork or the, well, I think I've read about these orders when I was reading about the the Colosseum construction and how it is built up in the different orders from the top to the bottom. The marble floor. In the course of my work as an engineer, I have had the opportunity to study the incredible variety of geometric patterns achieved by the artists who cut and lay the marble floors. With only 3 cut shapes, a complex pattern is created. But in the floor of the Basilica Julia, you may see perhaps the finest marble of all. The Roman trireme. I have visited the boatyard in Ostia, where this Roman galley was built and launched. It was almost 150 feet long and finely crafted in wood. There were 11 banks of oars manned by prisoners and convicts who were chained to benches. Then they lowered the sail and the vessel set out to sea. So it's a very special boat. I don't know. I don't know what the purpose of that boat is though, but the stone griffin. In my work as forum engineer and supervisor of buildings, I routinely check the condition of the temples from foundation to roofline. So when I discovered this graved griffin at the stonemason's yard, I was suspicious. This is no cheap terracotta acroteria ornament for the roof of a common Roman building. The griffin's wings are finely carved, and the lion's head spout would truly graced the roof line of a forum monument. Have I not seen this fragment before? The Lasus Curtius is found on the south side of the forum. It consists of a well and a series of altars within a low wall. The plan is curious, a trapezoid with a bent side and one corner cut off. The well is lined in tufa stone and is quite deep, since it marks the spot of the earlier sacred abyss. People will still throw gifts into it. So we've been in here and we've actually got the coin, and then we got the coin to go in the flying bat to go somewhere. Where we got these 2 things, or maybe it was somewhere else, but I think it was these 2 things that we got over there from that fetch quest thingy. Every few months I have to organize a cleanup team which descends into the well. I had a special hoisting machine built in oak for this purpose. I think we wrote that, or maybe it was something else then. People actually volunteer for the job, knowing the possibility of finding valuable coins and artifacts. There are legends of secret connections to the Cloaca Maxima and other tunnels beneath the Forum. The Pantheon. My only regret in assuming the position of Cura de Fori, supervisor of the Forum, is that I will not be able to supervise the maintenance of the Pantheon. This masterpiece was complete less than 100 years ago, and already Severus had to begin a restoration. Every student of the building or arts has drawn the great circle of the plan and matched it with the circle of the cross section. There is magic in the geometry. I have seen snow fall through the oculus of the dome, an opening 20 feet wide and well over 100 feet above my head. I think that's even the last thing to read there. That's a lot of things to read. I might have been missing out on loads of things here, because we have rituals, priests and rituals, and there's like so many more pages for me to read here, which is a blessing and a curse. It's another thing to keep track of what have we read or not. So the present day. Let me check how long I've been recording for a bit. Yep, it's been already like over 42 minutes. So I think the way it works is that these names light up if there's something specific to the point I'm standing on, or if there's something specific to the date I'm on. And then I can click on them, and then I can read them, and it'll give me a little bit more specific information than just telling it all at once. Like, I could just read through all of the politics at once, but that would be usually boring. And then I would easily forget that again. Right? So if it lights up once here, and I can read one page at a time, then that would be a smaller piece of information what I would more easily understand. We still keep saying, say that the Roman Empire is governed by S.P.Q.R, the Senate and the people of Rome. But it is a mere phrase. Starting with Augustus, an emperor has always been in charge of the Roman world, but it remains true that the empty semblance of the Republic, as Tacitus once put it, continues to confuse some minds. The Senate and the magistracies are preserved, not the assembly, but the Senate is powerless despite its traditional prestige. Its members grovel more often than not before every next claimant to the purple in fear of another purge. It is said that the Senate decides on whom to bestow supreme power, but it is, of course, the army which makes the choice. Right, so I think I've done my stuff in January. We've already read the Smell of Dusty Plants. So I guess I'm gonna end here. We're also kind of long in the playthrough at this point again already. It's so weird sometimes how you could just not go certain places because you always snap into place and you go certain steps ahead, sometimes a lot, sometimes very little, so it's very confusing. But anyway, thanks for watching thus far. Hope you liked, and goodbye.